Lies, lies, lies. And a lot of screaming. That's what I got. That's what I got from Joe Biden's good farewell speech, big farewell speech last night. It was lies, 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 and a whole lot of anger. I thought the vision was for Joe Biden to go out and reflect on his career and talk about the future and pass the torch. What he did was he just took the same speech he's given over and over and over and over again, the same lies he's told over and over and over again, and he just regurgitated them one last time in front of an audience of people who were pretending to love him, but who actually don't, because he's not even the nominee. And now he's done. He's gone. He's back at the White House, and and we'll never have to hear from him, hopefully, ever again. It was bizarre how late this thing started. I don't know who runs the Democrat Party, but they clearly have no idea. They don't have the concept of time. They stacked the deck with so many unnecessary speakers, so many people that nobody really cared about, nobody wanted to hear from, that were just there to stroke their own egos and fill time. And they forgot, this was supposed to be Joe Biden's night. He was supposed to speak in prime time. His speech didn't even start till after 11:30, and it went way the heck past midnight. It was prime time in like Hawaii, but in the rest of the country, it was, I'll be honest with you, I was this close to packing it in. But when Chris Coons came out and tried to get the crowd to chant, "We love Joe, we love Joe," I knew that it wasn't going to be much longer, so we waited. And I was wrong. It was really, 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 really a lot longer. In fact, Van Jones from CNN, we're going to get to the lies. There's so many lies that we have to debunk. There's so many lies we have to get to because, well, that's what they do. I mean, when you have no substance, when you have no truth, when you're running against somebody like Donald Trump, who was an effective leader for 4 years, all you can do is lie about him. All you can do is lie about the country. All you can do is lie about his agenda and his character, and hope that the people there hope that the people that listen at home, they don't do any fact checking. Hope that they just take you at your word, as they have for years. And that's exactly what we saw last night. But Van Jones at CNN summed it up pretty well.
The old lion's last roar.
That was a long roar.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. But listen, I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier. That's literally, that was my take exactly.
I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
Rarely do I ever agree with Van Jones, but I 100% agree with that crybaby. Yes, I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier. And I kind of wish it had been someone other than Joe Biden.
I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
And it was one of the weirdest speeches ever. It was Joe Biden. CNN had a couple of contributors, and I always watch CNN after the fact because I figure if your friends are I want to see what the people who have been supportive of Joe Biden for years say about him. And if your friends throw you under the bus, you know things are bad. And his friends just threw him right under the bus. They said that this speech by Joe Biden, this was supposed to be, again, his swan song, his farewell to America, his love letter to the country. They called it a eulogy.
Biden is known in his career as being one of the best eulogy givers at funerals, and now they're making him come and give his own career.
He has files of every eulogy.
Yeah,
he's
and now they're making him give his own eulogy at this convention. I mean,
you have to give one. It's best that you get to give your own.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess every cloud has its. If you got to give a eulogy, I guess it's good that you give your own. Is it really though? But that was the best way I could have described this entire. I didn't describe it that way, but that was a great description. It was a eulogy. It was Joe Biden standing at the podium talking about all the good things he did in his career, and then jumping into a 6x9 grave and watching everybody. I'm sorry, 6x8. I think is the grave, right? Is that a 6x8? Is it 6x9? If you're really tall, you need a 6x9. But anyway, 6x8 foot grave, and then we're just watching as everybody in the party just threw dirt right on top of him, and he's like, "No, I'm not dead yet." They're like, "Goodbye, Joe. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya."
I am anxious to see how they handle it. It's a sticky wicket. I mean, he was bullied out of this race after 52 years of service to the Democratic Party, and it wasn't all about his age. He was unpopular. He was going to lose. It was Afghanistan. It was inflation. It was immigration. And now, and he had to be dragged out by the fingernails. I'm sorry, this is not. So he's not here in a happy moment. Okay, I know that this yarn that's being spun in this hall that he was popular and selfless and handing on. No. It is the opposite, and everybody knows it. And yet, the Democrats are engaging in this theater of looking into cameras and saying it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's theater. Everybody there, and think about how awkward this situation was. This is the biggest lie of all. This is Joe Biden walking into a room surrounded by his peers. Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris is there. All the big name Democrats. Tim Walz is there. You've got, Kathy Hochul showed up from New York, and we'll get to her in just a minute. AOC, Hillary Clinton. They're all there. Everybody he's been working with in the Democrat Party for 50 some odd years is there. All the delegates from around the country who have now pledged their support to Kamala Harris and not to Joe Biden are there. He's standing in a room. He's standing on stage. He's talking about how great he is. Everybody is cheering him on, and everybody is thinking, thank God this guy is gone. Thank God this guy is gone. Maybe that's why he took so long to talk. Maybe that's why he's like, you know what? If you're forcing me out, I'm gonna talk till after midnight. I'm gonna force you guys to stay up. And it was really a unique sight to see. Again, very late. Hopefully it won't go that late. In fact, Jake Tapper called out the DNC. Jake Tapper called out the DNC live on camera. He goes, look, we are now into day 2 of the Democrat National Committee. And let's be honest, folks, the Republicans, they did it better.
It is fair to say that the Republicans had a tighter ship.
I mean, yeah, the Republican National Convention began and ended on time. The Republican National Convention had a list of speakers, a list of times, and dagnabbit, those speakers were speaking at those listed times. I knew when I was going to see Matt Gaetz speak. I knew when Hulk Hogan was going to take the stage. I knew when Dana White was coming out to introduce Donald Trump, and I knew when Donald Trump was coming out to accept the nomination. I knew all of that because the Republicans, they know how to stick to a plan. They know how to make a plan. They know how to make an effective plan. They know how to execute a plan. And gee, this DNC running 40 minutes late on day 1 should show you that maybe these aren't the people we want running the country. Maybe the Republicans, as Jake Tapper said, do it better. Maybe the Republicans run a tighter ship.
It is fair to say that the Republicans had a tighter ship.
That is not just fair to say, but it's also accurate. And it's weird to hear CNN be fair and accurate, but that's exactly what they were yesterday. We're going to get to the lies. We're going to get to some of the weird things because there was a lot of weird stuff. There's some weird people in the Democrat Party. There's some weird people. I know everyone's like, yeah, tell us something we don't know, but there's some weirdos in that party. I don't know where they all come from, but thank God that they're I know they try to say JD Vance is weird. I know they try to say Donald Trump is weird, but these people are bizarro. And they say some things that I don't know if they're just devoid or removed from reality, or if they just don't do any research, or if they've been living under a rock for the past few years. But the things that they say and the things that they claim are just so bizarre. And I just, let's go back to Jake Tapper for a second. And I'm going to talk about we've got 3 more nights of this thing. And last night was so much fun. We had a packed house on the live stream. We had a couple technical difficulties in the middle, but it didn't matter. People were there. They hung out for 3 hours. We went 3 hours live last night. We started at 9. We ended at past 12:30. Hopefully it doesn't go that long tonight. Hopefully they rein it in a little bit, but we're going to be live again at 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to be live again 9 o'clock on Wednesday, 9 o'clock on Thursday, and we had a blast. We had the speeches going on the main screen. We had my commentary going live. We had people, I was able to pull in comments from Facebook and from YouTube and from X, and unfortunately not from Rumble, but I was reading them aloud. We had people throwing super chats at us, which, by the way, if you'd like to do that right now, we're all about that. We had people throwing Rumble rants at us. Again, your open invitation whenever you want. And it was so much fun to follow along. And while the speeches were going, we were pulling your comments up on the screen. It was really amazing. It was one of the most fun. It's one of the most fun things I've ever done. And that's why we're going to do way more, so many more of those things, because they are so entertaining to me. But tonight at 9 o'clock, we are going to have a special live stream. So if you're listening to the podcast, try to get to your computer at 9 o'clock at night. Don't just watch on TV. Watch on my Rumble page. Watch on my X. Watch on my YouTube. Watch on my Facebook even. Because that's where the fun's going to be. It was exciting, even though it was long and boring.
I wish it had been shorter. I wish it had been earlier.
Yeah, and it ran late into the night. We stuck together and we had so much So much fun. So we're going to do that again. We're going to do that again over the next few days. Also, I should remind you that if you have not yet subscribed to any of these stations, if you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening on Spotify, make sure that you are telling those platforms, yeah, I like this content and I want it every day. I want Mark Kaye Saves the Republic every day. If we're doing it every day, we're doing it so that you can hear it every day, or twice on the weekends, or whenever you have time. But if you hit that subscribe, or if you hit that follow button on iTunes, then what they're going to do is they're just going to automatically send it to your phone. So whenever you get in your car, whenever you go to do a workout, whenever you need something cool to listen to, you can just pop in your earpods or your iPod, your iTunes, what are they called? Earbuds, whatever. The things that go in your ear. You just pop them in and you can hit the button and bam, we'll be here ready to bring you the information, the truth, the entertainment, the enlightenment, the inspiration that you need to keep going, because that's what we're all about. And ditto for YouTube and Rumble and X. Make sure you're subscribed to all of our platforms, because we want to make sure we bring you all the information that you need. But there's some weird things going on at the Democrat convention. There's some weird things going on with the DNC. And sometimes these people say things, and I just don't know if they don't understand what's going on in the world. Jake Tapper, who holds no punch, this guy clearly not a fan of Joe Biden. This guy clearly not worried about insulting anybody. It was as if Joe Biden, with his speech last night, kind of, at saying goodbye, letting everybody know, I'm out of your hair now. I'm not going to, I'm out of your hair. That was no pun intended, but that's I'm out of your hair now. I'm also out of your wife's hair and your daughter's hair. Well, maybe not your daughter. Anyway, but Joe Biden's out of your hair, and it kind of relieved everybody. And now they're speaking freely. It's like, how when you go to a party and there's one person there who's kind of old and weird and says inappropriate things, and then they leave and you're left at the party with all your friends and you just start talking about that person and you start talking smack and you're just like, oh, thank God that guy's gone. It was so weird. That's what Jake Tapper was doing last night with Joe Biden's speech. Let me play it for you.
One of the issues is that for the last year, as people geared up for the 2024 race, the candidates were, in the minds of Democrats, one candidate, the Republican, who would come out and offend them, and the other candidate, their candidate, the Democrat, Joe Biden, who would come out and they would sit on the edge of their seat and hope that he didn't say something meandering or off message or addled.
Jake Tapper saying what everybody else is saying but is afraid to say. And kudos to Jake Tapper. Kudos to that guy, because he's telling it like it is. He's trying to sugarcoat it a little bit. Basically what he said was, you've got Donald Trump on one side, who is offensive, and you've got Joe Biden on the other side, who's an embarrassment to the party. He didn't want to say that, so he called him addled. But he's basically saying, look, now that Joe Biden's gone, Monday night, Tuesday morning, Joe Biden does his speech and he's gone. The rest of the time, we can focus on Kamala Harris. We can focus on somebody who's not half gone, who's demented, who's physically unable to walk around, who doesn't know where he is half the time, who says embarrassing things, who can't read a teleprompter, who can't speak, who coughs into the microphone, who's always saying inappropriate things about little girls looking like they're older than they are, or telling people at the top tier of the balcony, don't jump. Don't jump. I saw, by the way, he didn't say it, but he looked at, when he came out into the arena, Joe Biden looked to the top level and he looked back at the top level. And I swear he was thinking, do I say don't jump? Everybody loves when I say don't jump. He did not, however, take the bait. But now Jake Tapper's out there going, look, he's gone. We are free. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. We're free at last. That addled old guy is gone. And now when we talk about the candidates, we have Donald Trump, who's going to say something offensive, but we no longer have Joe Biden, who's going to say something embarrassing. We have Kamala Harris.
And that fear about their nominee speaking is gone.
Really? Wait a minute. Okay. I know that Joe Biden was an issue when it came to speaking, but is Kamala Harris a great orator herself? Are you really not afraid of what this woman's going to say?
And that fear about their nominee speaking is gone.
Is it that the fear's gone because you're not going to let her speak, or is it because you think that she can speak better than Joe Biden?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You all helped us us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
Everybody needs to be woke.
Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work.
What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories, and they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions.
I'd still be embarrassed, by the way, if I were Jake. I'd still be embarrassed if I were a Democrat that my candidate was going to come out and say something really embarrassing. Luckily, they don't let her say anything at all. She came out yesterday. She spoke for less than 2 minutes. Kamala Harris at her convention came out. She wanted to talk nice things about Joe Biden. She wanted to say farewell to Joe, whatever it was. She came out for less than 2 minutes. That's all they gave her. And then sometime during the night, we found out from Donald Trump that not only did she only speak for 2 minutes at the convention, not only has she still not done a press conference, not only has she still not done a sit-down interview, not only do we still not know what her platform is or what she really believes or what she's going to do in her own words. Not only has she never spoken extemporaneously about her campaign or her vision for America, but she's now pulled out of one of the 3 debates. The first debate scheduled for Fox News. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, Comrade Kamala Harris has just informed us that she will not do the Fox News debate on September 4th. I am not surprised by this development because I feel that she knows it is very difficult at best for her to defend her record-setting flip-flopping on absolutely everything she once believed in, including her statements that there will be no fracking in Pennsylvania and her horrible performance on the border, our border czar, where millions of criminals and people from mental institutions and terrorists have been allowed to pour into our country totally unchecked and unvetted. By the way, that was all one sentence, which is that's a talent. That's a talent right there. It's called, and she loves it, an open border. Rather than the debate on September 4th, I have agreed to a tele-town hall anchored by Sean Hannity for Fox. It will take place in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Details to follow. So now what Kamala Harris has done is she's backed out of the debate on Fox, and she's given Donald Trump a 90-minute platform on Fox News, the most watched news network, to say whatever it is he wants and answer whatever questions he wants to answer. And she won't have the opportunity, which I think is probably actually a good thing for her. Jake Tapper says, finally we have a candidate. We don't have to worry about embarrassing us when they speak. And we know that the reason is because their candidate doesn't speak. Hey, speaking of embarrassing people and embarrassing speakers, how about that Kathy Hochul, huh? Kathy Hochul is the governor of New York. And it was forgivable. The people of New York, when Andrew Cuomo resigned, Kathy Hochul became the governor because she was the lieutenant governor. All right, so I get that. So you were forced into Kathy Hochul for a couple of years. I get it. Andrew Cuomo is a terrible, horrible person. He resigns. He steps away because of the scandal. Kathy Hochul is next in line. She becomes the governor. She's also bad. I forgive that. But then there was an election, and the people of New York had a choice between Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin, and they chose Kathy Hochul. So now this is all you're doing. You've brought this upon yourselves, New York, and there's no turning back. Kathy Hochul was brought out because I guess they thought she's one of the big wigs, one of the big stars of the Democrat Party. She's one of the big stars of the night. They thought as governor of New York, she could really add something to the conversation. She had a little bit of trouble with, words and stuff. And when she speaks, it's very, 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 very awkward. She started by talking about how Donald Trump used to be a resident of New York and now lives in Florida, how Donald Trump used to spend all of his time in New York at Trump Tower, but now he doesn't really do that anymore.
Trump hasn't spent much time in New York lately, except that is to get convicted of 34 felonies.
That was her big line. 34 felonies. Waka, waka, waka. Like she's Fozzie Bear. Like she's Fozzie Bear or something like that. Man, she was having a great time. She was talking about how in her state, Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felonies. And wasn't that just the funniest thing ever?
It's no wonder he had to flee to Mar-a-Lago. Sorry about that, Florida. Sorry about that.
And she points to Florida, by the way. So, sorry, Florida. Sorry about that. She thinks she's Matt Rife. She's doing crowd work. She's out there trying to she's like, yeah, I know I'm the governor of New York, but this is my moment. And I am going to milk it for all it's worth. Yeah, that's why he had to flee to Mar-a-Lago. Sorry about that, Florida. I mean, that is just that. But we're not even halfway done.
And that's just fine with us, because New York's motto is Excelsior, ever upward. And Trump takes us ever downward.
I mean, I don't, I just, wow. Thank God she's not my governor. That's all I have to say is thank God she's not my governor. Trump takes us ever downward. Really? The guy that built Trump Tower and fixed up the ice skating rink in Central Park, the guy who's invested billions of dollars and created jobs for your state, he takes you ever downward. I'll be honest with you. I lived in New York for several years. Many of you know I went to NYU. I was there from 1992. And I stayed a couple years after that, so somewhere from like 1992 to 96. And it was an amazing experience. An amazing city. Rudy Giuliani was in charge. Rudy Giuliani had just revived the entire city. It was safe. There was tourism. The crime was at its lowest. It was an incredible place to live. The homeless problem was under control. And we didn't have drug trucks on every corner like we do now. And now under Kathy Hochul, and the other several less enticing mayors they've had since Rudy Giuliani, it's not at all the place it used to be. People are scared to go there. People that do go there get attacked. People are moving out. People are fleeing. People are not happy. Elon Musk talks about how his mother lives in New York and all of her friends get attacked just walking around Chelsea at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's not enough police to fix the problem. And whatever police are there, they're just overwhelmed and disrespected and defunded and demoralized. But Kathy Hochul says Trump takes New York downward.
And that's just fine with us, because New York's motto is Excelsior, ever upward. And Trump takes us ever downward.
I mean, it's just I don't even know what to tell you. She did say, however, one thing which was kind of shocking to me. And that was about Kamala Harris, because, this whole thing is about Kamala Harris. It's Kamala Harris's night. Everyone's there for Kamala Harris. This convention is all about her. They're nominating Kamala Harris to be the next candidate, the Democrat candidate for president of the United States of America. Not just the first female candidate, but apparently the first president ever.
Are you ready to elect Kamala Harris, the first president of the United States? Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Wait a minute. I think George Washington might have a thing or two to say about that.
Are you ready to elect Kamala Harris, the first president of the United States? Yes, you are.
I don't know if it was a teleprompter issue. I don't know what it was. A lot of people had some teleprompter issues last night. I don't know if that was it or not, but man, it was interesting to see the crowd react when Kathy Hochul said, we're going to elect Kamala Harris, the first president of the United States of America. We are retroactively going to go back and impeach George Washington, the father of this country, and we are going to elect Kamala Harris, the first president of the United States of America.
It is fair to say that the Republicans had a tighter ship.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Jamie Raskin from Maryland also had a little bit of an issue with the teleprompter.
Someone should have told Donald Trump that the president's job under Article 2 of the Constitution Someone should have told Donald Trump.
Somebody should have told Jamie Raskin he probably should know what Article 2 of the Constitution says before he gets up on stage and says somebody should tell Donald Trump that Article 2 of the Constitution outlines his job as the following. The teleprompter breaks at a moment where anyone in the office of representative of the House of Representatives or senator or any governor, anyone who represents us in Washington, D.C. on a national level should be able to cover for themselves when it comes to Article 2 of the Constitution, but not Jamie Raskin.
Someone should have told Donald Trump that the president's job under Article 2 of the Constitution
it's coming to him. It's coming. It was right there on the tip of his tongue. It was right there on the tip of his tongue. It's to execute the law of chief law enforcement officer and make sure that the laws of the United States of America are upheld. It's like a whole thing. But you would think that a lawmaker that serves in one of the three branches of government would be able to tell you what Article 2 of the Constitution is, especially when they're attacking the person who wants the job of chief executive of president of the United States. Luckily, Jamie Raskin rebounded with a really funny Trump assassination joke.
Hey, J.D. Vance, do you understand why there was a sudden job opening for running mate on the GOP ticket? They tried to kill your predecessor.
I mean, was that? Is that? I don't really get the joke. I mean, it's disgusting. I get it. I don't really get the joke. But first of all, there was an opening on the ticket anyway. There was no VP on the ticket. There was an opening. And then there was an assassination attempt. So you think what they were? Oh, because they tried to kill Donald Trump, he was like, well, I got to pick a VP quick.
Hey, J.D. Vance, do you understand why there was a sudden job opening for running mate on the GOP ticket? They tried to kill your predecessor.
I don't, and the crowd goes wild, by the way. When you make a joke about somebody trying to shoot Trump in the head, crowd goes wild. That kills at the DNC. Oh, no pun intended. That's how you really get the crowd going. You either tell lies about Donald Trump or you talk about the assassination attempt. And hey, J.D. Vance, you know why he picked you for Veep? Because he almost died by an assassin at a rally. You know the thing. It's really interesting to me too that Jamie Raskin is making that joke because Jamie Raskin had cancer and he had chemo and he had his head shaved and everything else. And nobody really joked about that. When Jamie Raskin had cancer, no one was out there making jokes about Jamie Raskin's cancer or him almost dying or saying, hey, I wonder who's going to replace you when you die. No one said that. You know, he showed up looking like Tupac at the House of Representatives every day. Nobody made fun of him. Nobody was like, hey, I'm excited for your new album to come out with Snoop Dogg. Nobody said any of that, at least not to my knowledge. Hey, you better watch out. I saw some bloods on the street the other day. That never happened. But now Jamie Raskin, I guess, emboldened by because he's in remission. He's better now. He cheated death. So I guess, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe, if you cheat death, then you can make fun of people who have also cheated death. I guess that's the rule, right? That's what we learned from Seinfeld. That's what we learned from Seinfeld because what was it? Walter White wanted to make Jewish jokes, but he couldn't. And Jerry said, you have to be Jewish to make Jewish jokes. You can't just, and then he was going to convert to Judaism for the jokes. Like, I'm going to convert to Judaism. Why? So I can tell Jewish jokes. Maybe that's what Jamie Raskin thinks now. Maybe Jamie Raskin's like, I cheated death, Trump cheated death, so I can make Trump cheating death jokes. And they're gonna be fantastic. They're going to be fantastic. Look, we haven't even gotten to AOC yet, and we have not even gotten to Joe Biden's lies. Joe Biden, the lying liar, who continues to lie. The same lies, by the way, he's been telling for years now. We'll get to all that here in just a minute. But one thing I do want to share with you is that we have a whole bunch of really fantastic items up for grabs in the Mark Kaye shop right now. We've got our America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. Trump hoodies and t-shirts. And there's also for those of you that have requested them, we now also have the, what do you call those things? What do you call those tank top things? Oh yeah, I guess you call them tank tops. We have all of those and they're ready for you right now. If you go to markkaye.shop.com, you can get your Mark Kaye hoodies, your Mark Kaye Brighter Future camos. Here are the tank tops that we talked about earlier. What I'm wearing today is, and it's very comfy, let me move the microphone so you can see it, is the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic fashion hoodie. This is the actual logo hoodie with the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic logo, established 2024. It comes in heather gray. I'm wearing the white one, which is, it's not a racist thing. It's just it makes me look tan, so I wear white. There we have cups and mugs and everything else. Katriot gear, if you'd like to sport your Katriotism and you want other Katriots to know who you are, go to markkaysshop.com. But like I said, this was... When Donald Trump gave his speech at the RNC, and we have yet to hear Kamala's, but it was one of the most rousing speeches ever. And this quote in particular,
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
That's the quote that inspired this entire line of clothing, and people are really loving it. They're really enjoying it. We also have the Mark Kaye signature line down here at the bottom. The hat that I finally took it off my head. I'm going to wear it later. I'll wear it tonight though. But a lot of people have been enjoying all of the offerings at the Mark Kaye shop. Go to markkaysshop.com. There's one more time, markkaysshop.com. Use the coupon code at the top. It's Merry Christmas, and you get 10% off of your entire order at markkaysshop.com. All right, let's get to AOC, shall we? Because again, they say some weird things in the Democrat Party. They say some weird things in the Democrat Party, and sometimes I don't believe they understand exactly what they're saying. And AOC, she saw this as her moment to shine. Whenever she gets on stage, she turns into like a tent revivalist. She turns into like a Baptist preacher. And she starts throwing her hands in the air and flailing around, and she starts, putting multiple syllables into words that don't have multiple syllables, all that kind of stuff, all that flamboyant, dramatic stuff. And one of the things she started with was this story about how the Republicans like to attack her and tell her to go back to bartending.
Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I'm happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living.
Now, basically what she's just done is told everybody that working in Congress is not working for a living because she's a congresswoman now. And she just said, people are like, you should go back to bartending. And she goes, I would be happy to any day of the week because there's nothing wrong with working for a living as opposed to what you do now, which is we're not even really sure what you do, except you get up on stage and you scream and yell and you tell lies about people and you push an anti-Israel agenda and, all that other great stuff. You write some books, you go on Twitter. I mean, we see you on the Instagram, you're doing Instagram stories. You do a lot of those. But she'd be happy to go back to bartending. Is that true? She'd be happy to go back to, listen, if you're a voter in New York City, maybe that's a cry for help. Maybe she's trying to tell you something. Maybe she's like, I want to join Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. I'm done with all this politics stuff. I'm done with all this grandstanding. Send me back to the bar. From what I heard, by the way, she wasn't all that great a bartender anyway. But, I feel like that may not be true because she really enjoys what she does. She enjoys getting up there on stage and just going full AOC on the crowd.
And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life.
Our way of life. Life is a one-syllable word. Life is a one-syllable word. She turns it into a two-syllable word. Life.
And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life.
Can I get an amen? Can I get a hallelujah? I thought she was going to start like handling serpents and dancing around. I expected like a where's some good music? I don't really have it. I expected like a guy to come out in a wheelchair or some crutches, and she was going to put her hand on it. It was going to fall back and start shaking and then get up and dance around, that kind of stuff. That's what I expected. That's every time AOC speaks. I'm like, man, what is happening here? This is a tent revival. This is Jonah Nightingale from that Steve Martin movie. This is crazy stuff. But anything to get the crowd riled up. She didn't really say anything at all. She just attacked Donald Trump, and she tried to convince everybody that Kamala Harris has been fighting every single day of her life. What has Kamala Harris been fighting? A cold? What has she been fighting? Allergies? Who is Kamala Harris? I haven't seen Kamala Harris fight anything. A fight to open up that bag of Doritos that she got from the Sheetz gas station. What is this woman fighting for? She's not fighting for the border. She's not fighting for, crime and punishment. She's not fighting for a lower economy. She keeps telling us, on day one, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that. You've been there for 4 years almost. You haven't fought for anything. We've not seen Kamala Harris. In fact, they kept her hidden for the first 3 years. And they only brought her out when they realized Joe Biden might not make it. When they realized Joe Biden might be a liability, they started to bring Kamala out of the woodwork. They started to put her back in front of the cameras. They started to put her at events with Joe Biden side by side. They invited her into the war room, into the situation room. A woman with zero experience when it comes to commanding the greatest military force in the entire world. And they put her there because Joe Biden was inept and he was failing and he was flailing and Joe Biden wasn't going to make it. And now they're trying to paint her as this amazing leader. It's that she fights every single day. I don't know what she's fighting for. I haven't seen her fight. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe she could tell us what she was fighting for, but she's not doing any interviews. She's not doing any press conferences. And now she just backed out of a debate. She's just going to hide until November. And we'll see what happens there. There was another, this is, by the way, the odd thing too, because they keep telling us that this is the party of joy, right? AOC is not a joyous person. AOC is not a joyous person. Hillary Clinton is not a joyous person. There are very few joyous Democrats. In fact, Tim Walz, I noticed this yesterday because they kept showing Tim Walz. Tim Walz is one of the most miserable looking people I've ever seen in my entire life. They keep saying this guy is full of joy, has a big heart, he's happy-go-lucky. They always say this guy is the life of the party. He's so charismatic. Oh my gosh, he's a great pick. Look at it. The whole night he was looking like this. He's got this Eeyore, down, upside down, or the Eeyore frown on his face. It's etched in there. It didn't matter who was talking. It didn't matter what they were saying. They could have been praising him. It didn't matter if he got on his feet to clap. He looked like he has RBF. Resting biatch face like nobody I've ever seen in my entire life. This guy just looks so downtrodden. And again, I have to believe that no matter how many people are chanting his name, and no matter how many people are screaming for him, no matter how many people show up at his rallies, no matter how many times he hears Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the next president and vice president of the United States, I have to believe that deep down in his heart of heart, in his soul of souls, he knows there ain't no effing way they're going to win. I mean, it's written right there on his face. He looks miserable. He looks sad. He looks dejected. He looks like he lost his best friend. I mean, that is not the look of somebody who represents a joyous party. There was also this other woman who really not only showed how angry this party is and how much they lack joy, but also just common sense. You got to really... There's no situational awareness in the Democrat Party. I wrote down her name. Her name is Mallory McMorrow. She's a Michigan state senator. Also, this is how they're grasping. At the Republican National Convention, I pretty much knew every speaker. Every speaker that came up. I mean, there were Gold Star families that I didn't know, but as they started speaking and I understood who they were and why they were there, and they did a great job. But everybody who came up and spoke, I knew who they were. They had senators come up like Ted Cruz. I knew who that guy was. They had governors come up like Ron DeSantis. Knew him. Nikki Haley. Unfortunately, I knew who she was. You had, Matt Gaetz. You had Mike Waltz, our good friend. You had all these people came up on stage and they spoke. Nancy Mace did a great job. We knew every single one of them. The Democrat National Convention, they had all these state representatives and people we'd never heard of, and they were coming up. And the only reason they were there for two reasons. Number one, to trash Donald Trump. And number two, to push forward lies. And I guess the third reason would be to try to prop themselves up or give themselves some kind of national spotlight. And this woman, Mallory McMorrow, Michigan state senator, rolls out with a huge, oversized, gigantic copy of the Project 2025 outline. And this is Project 2025, which already Donald Trump has said ain't my thing. I'm not doing any of that stuff. This is the Heritage Foundation. This is other people, but it's not Donald Trump's party platform. Donald Trump has Agenda 47, which is his official party platform. And you can go read that on his website, donaldjtrump.com. But Project 2025, that is not his thing. But the Democrats are trying to falsely push it on the American people and say, this is what Donald Trump wants done. The irony is that when she talks about it, it sounds a lot like something that Joe Biden has also already done.
Donald Trump would be able to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. He could even turn the FBI into his own personal police force.
So she goes out and she says, guys, you're not going to believe this, but Project 2025 says Donald Trump, get this, has the power to weaponize the federal government. And that's not all. He could take the FBI and turn it into his own private police force. We cannot have that. We cannot have that, says Mallory McMorrow, the redheaded Michigan state senator who read Project 2025 cover to cover and is shocked to realize that Donald Trump could weaponize the government against his political adversaries.
Donald Trump would be able to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. He could even turn the FBI into his own personal police force. That is not how it works in America.
Isn't it? That's how it works in Joe Biden's America. Do you remember when the FBI, Joe Biden's own private police force, went to Mar-a-Lago, pushed his lawyers aside, went into the establishment, searched through Donald Trump's personal belongings, blew open his safe, rifled through his wife's unmentionables, her underwear drawer, her personal garments, looking for top secret documents that they already knew were in a locked closet in boxes in Mar-a-Lago. They went into Donald Trump's personal effects. They were going to find Donald Trump had cartons and cartons of information from the White House, the supposed top secret documents that Donald Trump says I declassified, as is my right, and as I have power to do as the president of the United States. But they went into Melania's panty drawer. Why? To look for top secret documents? What did they think they were going to find there? Nothing. It was a harassment attack. It was an attempt to use the FBI to harass and intimidate Donald Trump and keep him from running for president once again. Can you believe it? These Democrats are just now waking up to the fact that Donald Trump could weaponize the government against Joe Biden and his other political adversaries, not even realizing or wanting to admit that Joe Biden has already been doing that.
That's how it works in dictatorships.
Oh, so Joe Biden's administration is a dictatorship. I'm glad we got that straight. So here's what we've learned so far. We've learned from AOC that representatives, or at least Democrat representatives, don't really work. Bartenders work, but us in the House of Representatives, we don't really work at all. And we've also learned that this is a dictatorship because Joe Biden weaponized the government. He weaponized the Department of Justice. He weaponized the FBI against his political opponent, sent them into Mar-a-Lago, and had him, indicted on 91 different counts up and down the East Coast, from New York to Miami and all points in between. But now the Democrats are scared that Donald Trump is going to abuse his power. We can't have that. We can't have that at all. It's just crazy. Listen, speaking of representatives and House of Representatives here in Florida, for any of my Florida peeps, if you're in Florida, today's the primary. August 20th is the primary day in Florida. And for a lot of our representatives, the primary day is the election. We are blessed with some very conservative strongholds here in Florida. The whole state is pretty red, but we have some conservative strongholds. District 3, for example, Representative Kat Kamak. District 3 is pretty solidly conservative, which means Whoever wins the Republican primary on August 20th pretty much nails down 2 years in the House of Representatives. So today, with Kat Cammack facing, her primary opponent, if she wins that primary, she'll be representing District 3, as she does a brilliant job of, for another 2 years. Same with Mike Waltz in District 6. Same with our buddy Aaron Bean, who I don't even know if Aaron Bean has a primary opponent, but Representative Aaron Bean did a great, had a great run for his first 2 years in a brand new district, thanks to all those New Yorkers and Massachusettsans and all the other Democrats who moved from way up north all the way down to Florida during COVID. All those Democrats who moved from all those blue states to the free state of Florida, they gave us 2 more electoral votes and another district, another representative, and we got Aaron Bean, who's doing a great job. His primary is today. If he wins, odds are he's going to just coast through. I mean, I don't think, again, they're running unopposed. Here in District 5, however, we have a little bit of an issue because we have kind of what's called a rhino, a Republican in name only. And our rhino goes by the name of John Rutherford. And he was sheriff for a while, and then he became our representative. And I don't know what happened, but lately, the older he gets and the longer he stays in Washington, D.C., the more corrupt this guy's voting record appears. He votes less for the people of Duval County and less for the people that put him there, and he votes more for himself. In fact, he's gotten very wealthy. In the last couple of years, he's gone from a net worth of $1 million to over $5 million. He's voted to fund Ukraine over and over again. He voted to give the FBI that brand new, big, beautiful headquarters with all that money. The same FBI, by the way, that Joe Biden weaponized against Donald Trump, John Rutherford voted to build them a state-of-the-art facility where they can have ping pong tables and saunas and God knows what else. Because let's reward those people who attack President Donald Trump and our fellow Republicans. So it's really weird. Here in Duval County, we're over the guy. And there's a fantastic woman running named Mara Macy, and she comes from a military background. Her husband is a military man. She's an outlier, much like Donald Trump was when he ran. And she is the kind of person that is truly conservative, not establishment, not corrupted by the Washington deep state system or the special interest groups, not taking money from anybody, and has a really solid chance of primarying John Rutherford. So if you're here in Duval County and you haven't voted yet, if you're in District 5, if you're in St. Johns County, which, by the way, she got endorsements from the St. Johns County GOP. It's going to be a horse race tonight for sure. It's going to be a photo finish, but I, for one, am very excited and very confident that she could pull it out. So if you're in District 5, that's my recommendation to you. Again, you vote however you want. If you like John Rutherford, if you think, hey, sending money to Ukraine is a good thing, let's do it more often. If you think funding the FBI is a good thing, rewarding their misdeeds is a great thing, then go ahead. But if you think that we need probably people in Washington, D.C. who are representing the American people and putting America first and not in it to win it for their own selves or to pad their own pockets or fill their own bank accounts, then I would recommend a change. And that change goes by the name of Mara Macy. All right, let's talk about change, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time. We should probably get to these lies. Like I said, there's been a lot of lies already, but Joe Biden rolled out on the DNC stage yesterday for his farewell address, which just happened to be lie after lie after lie. And he had a couple people introduce him. Chris Coons, who I guess Chris Coons took Joe Biden's job when Joe Biden left to go be vice president. So Chris Coons rolls in, and I guess he was handpicked by Joe Biden, so he gets to introduce Joe Biden. And he had an embarrassing moment when he tried to get the people to start chanting, "We love Joe," and they just weren't biting.
We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe.
All right, it took a couple times, but and also he sucked it. I used to do this for a living, but when I was in high school, I used to lead the pep rallies, and I knew how to get people riled up. I knew how to get people going, and you would go, "We love Joe," and you'd pump your fist in the air, "We love Joe," and that's how you get the crowd going. Like you go, "USA, USA, lock her up, lock her up." It's not just going out there and saying 3 words. It's the intonation, it's the inflection, it's the cadence. You can't go, "We love Joe," and expect people to start chanting that. You have to actually show people. You have to be a leader. And Chris Coons just didn't understand the assignment.
We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe.
He tried it like 4 different ways. He finally got it. He was like, oh, we love Joe. No, that's not it. We love Joe. No, oh, it's we love Joe. And then they started chanting and screaming and yelling, which, by the way, was one of the biggest lies of the night. The biggest lie of the night was Nancy Pelosi, who mouthed the words, we love Joe. And yet, when we know she don't love Joe, she was ready for Joe to go. And in fact, the reason Joe's going is because of Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and pretty much everybody else who's filled that arena. And all these folks, man, they are out there and they are screaming, we love Joe. And they've got these big sticks, these big signs that say, we heart Joe. And it is just such a mind, you know what? It is such a dysfunctional relationship with the Democrat Party. This guy was tossed. He had the lowest approval rating, 31% approval rating in his own party. If you look at the people in that arena, 31% of them kind of liked him, and 69% were like, get out of here, you old man. You're ruining our chances at winning. Get out of here. We're done with, you're washed up, you're old. We don't like you. We don't want you. You're unpopular. We would rather have Donald Trump in office than you. And now that he's agreed to the terms of surrender, now they love him. They only love him because he's not running for president. Anyway, let's get back to the lies. Joe Biden on his final out, instead of recounting all of the great things that he accomplished, which there's very few, instead of painting this beautiful vision for America, he decided to attack Donald Trump with the same old boring lies that he's told over and over and over again. One of the biggest is the suckers and losers lie.
No, from his own chief of staff, a 4-star General John Kelly, that Trump, when in Europe, would not go to the grave sites in France. The brave service members who gave their lives to this country. He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
I'm gonna miss Angry Joe. I like when Demented Joe gets those angry shakes. And he's like, who does he think he is? Now that story has been debunked so many times that it's odd to me that Joe Biden, I guess he's thinking, you know what, screw it. This is my last time. They can fact check me once more. It doesn't matter. I'm done. So I'm going to go with the same lies that I've always told. And that's a big lie. Donald Trump did not refuse to go to the graves. There was a delay due to rain. He never said suckers and losers. And there's 23 witnesses that were with him the entire time in the car. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was one of them. I mean, all of these people over and over again have debunked that lie. That's not the only one. He told the one about Charlottesville again and how he saw the veins bulging on these people's necks and they were spitting the bile of the Nazi tunes. And Donald Trump said there are very fine people on both sides of the aisle. Even Snopes, CNN, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, you name it. Not one person still believes that story except for Joe Biden. And then he tried to push this lie, which I just don't understand why he thinks this is. I just don't understand why he thinks this is going to go anywhere. It's about the border bill.
Trump continues to lie about the border. Here's what he won't tell you. Trump killed the strongest bipartisan border deal in the history of the United States.
He didn't. First of all, Donald Trump wasn't in elected office at the time of the border deal. Donald Trump wasn't president. Donald Trump wasn't a senator. Donald Trump wasn't a congressperson. Donald Trump was private citizen Donald Trump. Joe Biden claims he called all of his political allies on the House floor and in the Senate and said, vote no, because this is good for Biden and bad for me. It's actually bad for America and good for Ukraine. The Biden border bill, or the border bill that he keeps talking about that Donald Trump told everyone not to vote for, was not a border bill at all. It was an amnesty bill for illegal immigrants, and it was a huge windfall, a payout to Vladimir Zelensky. It was wrapped up in a border bill because it would conveniently do two things. It was a win-win for the Democrats. If it went through, which thank God it did not, it would pour billions of dollars into Ukraine, keeping that war going, funding all of their special interest groups and all of their industrial military complex donors. All of them, they would have so much money that they could pay to Northrop Grumman and Boeing and all the other military suppliers who could then take that money and reinvest it into their campaign coffers, thus laundering the American taxpayer dollars through the Ukraine war, as they've been doing for years. We've seen that happen. We saw it happen with Sam Bankman-Fried and his cryptocurrency scheme. Same exact way. give money to Ukraine. Ukraine buys crypto from Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried donates hundreds of millions of dollars to the Democrats. In turn, they give the money right back to Ukraine. It's a vicious cycle. It's money laundering. It's Ozark, but in real life. And Donald Trump said, no, we're going to stop all that. The Republicans said, we're going to stop all that. Plus, it granted amnesty to illegal immigrants. It was not a border bill at all. But if it failed, which it did, because they called it a border bill, because they called it a bipartisan border agreement, Joe Biden and the Democrats are now going out there saying this was going to, they don't care about the border at all. In fact, the senator from Oklahoma who helped draft the original version ended up voting against it because it had been bastardized so badly. The Democrats, they need to get off of this idea that they're going to run and win on the border. Kamala Harris needs to abandon any talk of her border strength, any talk of Donald Trump's border weakness. She was the border czar who did nothing. He was the president who built a wall, over 500 miles worth of wall. He instituted stay in Mexico. He was the one that got Mexico to keep their Mexico's southern border closed tightly. He brought down the immigration numbers, and we have that chart, the life-saving chart that literally saved his life, to prove all of it. But for whatever reason, the Democrats tend to think that their winning strategy is to run on border security and how they're better than Trump. Oh, that and abortion. Don't even get me started on abortion. Literally every speech yesterday was about abortion. I'm not even going to get into that. But Joe Biden, look, he went out in typical Joe Biden style, tripping up on his words a couple times.
In its decision overturning Roe v. Wade, as you heard earlier tonight, the United States Supreme Court majority wrote the following, quote, women are not without electoral or political power. No kidding.
Women are not without electrical power. Man, all those women have that electrical power. They're like Teslas. I'm sure Elon Musk is thrilled to hear that. Elon Musk, electrical woman. He's thinking, why didn't I think of that? I made electric vehicles. I should make electric women. Women are not without electrical power. No kidding. No kidding. It was a really bizarre thing.
No kidding.
Joe Biden's last tussle with the teleprompter is over, and the teleprompter was once again victorious. Now, we're not going to see Joe Biden anymore. He's done. We're not going to see him at the DNC. We're probably not going to see him on television anymore. I don't know that a lot of people are going to talk to him, unless, of course, well, that October surprise rolls in early. There'll be some kind of conflict. There'll be some kind of something or other. There'll be some kind of monkeypox pandemic. Something's going to happen where we're going to see Joe Biden have to act in some kind of fashion and take charge, but we don't know what it is yet. For the most part, or at least for this week, he's gone. He's done. Tonight at 9 o'clock, we're going to go live again. We're going to go live on Rumble. We're going to go live on X. We're going to go live on Facebook, and we're going to go live on YouTube. And we're going to be interacting. It's an interactive experience. I don't just talk for 3 hours. We have the live stream from the speeches. Tonight, it's Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, I believe Doug Emhoff, Governor J.B. Pritzker, all of these people, and a bunch of other no names that are probably going to embarrass themselves again. These people are all coming out to talk tonight at the DNC, and we will be bringing it to you live. I will be live commenting and fact checking and, cracking wise. We'll also be bringing in your comments. So if you've got something to say, come to YouTube, come to X, come to Facebook and say it, and we'll be able to pull it up on the screen. And that's something we're going to be doing all 4 nights of this. The first night went really well. I thought it went really, really well. I hit one wrong button. I know not to hit that button anymore, but I think tonight, it's going to be a lot of fun. So make plans to join us at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and hopefully we'll wrap up before midnight. I can't guarantee it because, those Democrats, they're not Republicans over there, folks. They have no sense of sticking to a schedule.
It is fair to say that the Republicans had a tighter ship.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so it's 9 o'clock TBD on an end time. just because we never know what those Democrats are going to do. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for downloading this podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure that you tell Spotify and iTunes and everyone else that you love this stuff and you want more of it. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Rumble, if you're watching on X right now, if you're watching on LinkedIn, where we started to stream as well, thank you guys so much for your support. I appreciate every single Patriot who makes it part of their daily plan to ingest this material and also to share it, because sharing isn't just caring. Sharing isn't communist in this, it's not like we're sharing our way, but sharing is how we grow. If you're like, I know some people who need to hear this stuff. Yesterday, we had a guy who left a comment. He was like, Mark, I love listening to you because everything you say is exactly what I'm thinking. And I just don't know how to verbalize. I don't know how to articulate it. Great. If you think the way I think, and you know people who don't think the way that we think, and you think they should think the way that we think, then send them this. And I think that they're going to start thinking differently. So take the podcast, take the video, take one of our Instagram reels, take whatever it is. That's why we do this. We do it for you to enjoy and say, yes, you're right. But we don't just want to preach to the Patriot choir. We need to go out in there. We need to go out into the wilderness. We need to go find Patriots in waiting, and we need to bring them over to our patriotic way of life. And the only way we can do that, I can do it by coming here every single day. You can do it by sharing this message with as many people as possible. So share. Like, email this link to 10 of your friends, put it in your family's or your friends' group chat message and say, hey guys, check this person out. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're everywhere. And every single day we're here for at least an hour, and tonight we're here for a couple more. Thank you again for joining me. We're going to do it, folks. I feel very, very strongly that this is our year. Watching the DNC, watching the hatred in these people's voices, watching their lack of enthusiasm and messaging, allows me to believe that if we hold tight, if we keep fighting, if we keep our enthusiasm, if we keep our energy up, if we keep fact-checking these people, if we keep showing up every single day, we're going to do it in November. We will save the Republic. Just like it says on my hoodie, which is available at markkshop.com.